All right, this one's a doozy. We just got off of 8 hours of being on stream and just talking and analyzing everything on here. These are one of the biggest patch notes we've ever seen, and it has the potential to have the biggest impact on the skills that we play and the builds that we play as a single patch, at least in my recent memory. There's so much here. There's the new league mechanic. There's 3 new ascendancies. There's a rework to the way that skill gems work. There's a rework to the way that enchants are gone from lab. They now have this new transfigured gems, and alternate quality gems are gone. And these transfigured gems do all sorts of things like zombie falls from the sky. Literally, that's in the game. There's so much here. Righteous Fire got changed significantly. Some people say it's buffed. Some people say it's nerfed. This is wild. I'm really excited for next week. But what I'm going to give you guys today is basically my thoughts after talking on stream for about 8 hours and analyzing this. I have a whole set of notes. Just to preface all of this, there will be mistakes. These are assumptions and just quick implications that we understand from what we read. The big thing here is we haven't seen all the transfigured gems, or even most of them. We've only seen a handful of them, and there's hundreds. There's at least over 100, I think is what they said. So we don't know at all what the actual implications or builds that people are going to be playing in a week or two. League start, we probably have a pretty good idea. Luckily for me, my SRS Guardian, wait for the build guide. It's going to come out in the next, probably on Saturday is when the video will come out. And it's going to be a guide on Maxwell as well. SRS Guardian, there's some changes. There's some things that are like technically small nerfs there, but I think overall came out pretty unscathed, and it's going to be a great league starter. So I'm excited for that, to share that with you guys. So definitely get subscribed if you want to get that build guide. We took a ton of notes. The rest of this video is just going to be, I don't know what it is, 10, 15, 20 minutes of me just sitting, talking, trying to do a quick overview of everything, talking about the standout skills, the standout changes. Seriously, things like Cold Dot is going to be so uncomfortable, I don't even recommend playing it anymore. You know, one of the staples of the game. People don't even know if Righteous Fire is good or not anymore. Captain Lance says yes, Pox says no. Who knows? It's pretty wild, and yeah, this is going to be a doozy, like I said, of a league. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the video, enjoy my thoughts, and yeah, hope to see you guys next week for this crazy league. The top level thing, starting off very, very top level, which I guess is right here. So lots of the things that look like buffs are actually just integrating what was currently the enchant, and oftentimes much weaker. So for example, Lightning Strike is currently +2 proj. It's like, I don't know what like Lightning Strike right now is something like, I don't know, lightning damage or proj speed or something. I think it's proj speed, right? So you get proj speed by default right now on Lightning Strike, and the current Helm enchant is +2 projectiles. And this is a good microcosm of seeing what goes on. So you get +2 proj right now with Lightning Strike on the Helm enchant, and you get +20% proj speed. That is changing to +1 proj at 20% quality, and you lose all of that proj speed. So on the middle end, right? So if we're talking at the very beginning at level 1, you're just started, it's the exact same gem. When you get to, let's say, yellow maps, you have 20% quality, you get 20 gem cutters, you can go for a 20% gem, then that's better, right? That's like you have a baby Helm enchant. And some of these gems do get effectively the Helm enchant. They get kind of the same thing. But the high end that we have right now is you get the +2 proj from the Helm enchant, you get the +20 proj speed from the gem, and depending on how you want to scale that, maybe you care about the proj speed more. And so this is quality is affecting everything a little bit differently. So right now, you kind of the quality kind of does things really interestingly more on alternate quality stuff, but now the quality is going to be more interesting on your default gem. So the benefit here is that things like your auras, your curses, auras are no longer just AoE. Auras now do things. Not as strong as the old alternate qualities, but they now do certain things that are beneficial, right? Like if we go to, let's say, what was it? Like, not all of them changed, but purity of elements, right? The purities, these are better now. They now, instead of increased AoE, they give you increased res. So now Ashes of the Stars is better for like the default quality for a lot of your utility gems in all that is kind of a little bit better. So it's kind of a give and a take where you don't get that, like your main gem probably won't be as powerful as it was before on average because I'm not getting all the stuff that I used to get. However, if you scale quality, like scaling quality now has more benefit. So if you run Ashes of the Stars, you can get that full, +2 proj back, and all of your utility gets more benefit now. So something like Ashes of the Stars, they nerfed it, probably anticipating this, no longer has the 20% RMR, which is like, whatever. It sucks, right? They actually nerfed RMR in a lot of places. Alternate quality gems used to give that too. And the Helm enchant used to give you RMR. So losing that, like aura stat, all of your auras might be more difficult to deal with now. However, stacking your quality from Ashes, Dialas, Enhance might provide much more benefit than it used to. And I actually think because people might want to use Enhance more, this is directly why people want it, why they nerf the RMR, because Enhance, makes your auras take more, more mana to reserve, and then they just want to stop people from stacking auras too much. I think they're very gun shy after Delirium and how out of control aura stacking got. I mean, basically until today, it's still like very dominant, right? So that's like the top level, Oh, and also, just starting off, like what they did is they removed alternate quality gems, and now you're going to get transfigured gems, which are drastically reworked gems. And they showed us a few of them on the website. We can look at, let's see if we can find a couple here. Transfigured gems. So they have different names. They don't affect the Vol version. The Vol version is independent, but they work very, very differently. We have different firestorms here that, kind of work like the old firestorm. We have a non-cooldown frost bomb. We have blight that works with contagion. We have zombie that just falls. It just summons a zombie that falls and dies for double damage. Like they're just different. They're basically new skills at this point. And the other thing is we lose enchants on our helmet, our gloves, and our boots, and our belts. We lose all of the enchants. And I think the quality of life loss from the boot, the glove, and the enchants is pretty big. I think it's bigger than people think. Primarily those boot enchants, I valued them quite a bit. I think you had 16% movement speed, 16% attack and cast speed. I think it was like 80% stun avoidance. And what was that? I don't know, 10, 12, 14% Ellie Pen, like really, really strong boot enchants. And that's actually a pretty big loss. That stun avoidance particularly was pretty invaluable. Like they've pretty much removed all access to stun avoidance now for top side tree stuff. Yeah, regen on hit. So, as someone who plays a lot of Witch, we used to have stun avoidance. I think right here, I think in this cluster, you could avoid stun, and they removed it. And they moved stun avoidance down right here. Where is it? Somewhere around here. Yeah, right down, all the way down here. So like you're kind of not often going into stun avoidance here, and it's not that much. Like this is 30 plus 30. You only get 60% stun avoidance here, so you got to stack it on your small jewels or whatever. Like you actually have very, very little access to stun avoidance, and particularly since Witch is energy shield based and energy shield stun is like not ideal. It's like basically you're looking at a blood notch setup. The probably immutable force blood notch stuff for like high end quality life Witch builds now. Particularly losing that belt enchant is pretty rough. So like the overall, and the other thing that we have to remember is that Eevol, we don't know what the transfigured gems are. I think there's going to be a lot of new builds there that are interesting and creative and all that. However, don't get too excited right away. We have to remember, like we really have to. You have to pare down your expectations for what the game is going to feel like and your scaling and how you play the game. So, at what point, ask yourself, go back, and maybe you can see screenshots or something of when you play it or POBs that you link to your friends on League Start, and go back and look on day 3, look on day 5. When did you have 2020 quality gems? Because other big consequence, other big thing that they did is they removed, only for skill gems, this is not applying to support gems, but only for skill gems, the gem cutter recipe of selling a 20-0 gem and getting a 120 quality gem is gone. So it will now take 20 gem cutters, or you can find it, right? 20 quality gems can, that's the big thing is in a trade league, you're going to be buying your quality gems from people and leveling it up afterwards. Likely not using your gem cutters as much. The access to 20% quality gems is going to go down pretty significantly for the first week or so of the league. And so you base your expectations on all of the other changes and not just the gem changes, because you probably didn't have you didn't have alternate quality gems in the first 3 to 5 days of League anyway. You didn't have 2020 gems by then anyway. So all of the other changes are going to be what affects you much more for the first week of the League. This is a big loss here, is alternate quality gems are gone. Okay, we said that. We get transfigured gems. However, we only get transfigured skill gems. Yo, Foos, thank you for the Prime, man. We only get transfigured skill gems. Alternate quality support gems are all gone. There's no transfigured support gems either. So, very notable support gems. Now, there's a couple of support gems like Inspiration, where they baked in a very baby version. So instead of 10% less mana, it's 5% less, or reduced on Inspiration. So that's like a buff for poor people, right? It's a buff for people that weren't buying Divergent Inspiration anyway. However, things like Divergent Melee Splash, which are huge, like currently melee, like default melee splash is like kind of bad. You do like significantly less damage from the splash. Divergent melee splash is really good for evening out that damage as you're clearing, to the point where it's actually significantly better than Awaken melee splash. And now by losing Divergent melee splash, then we're going to be looking at Awakened melee splash is going to be much more interesting, or it's much more desired. Yeah, we already talked about losing the glove, boot, and belt enchants. There were cool glove enchants. Aspect of whatever they're called, aspect of reflection or whatever, was really, really cool. I think that was awesome. The boot enchants were, like I said, build enabling, and then some of these belt enchants were really good. I think there's like accuracy, and then the -6 res with wither were really, really nice for like end game, beefing up your build. Thinking about lab running, this is going to be significantly changed, possibly better than possibly better average returns, but lower high end for running high volume. What I mean by that is currently when you run lab, it's absolute ass if you're not like prepared with the right helmet base, et cetera, et cetera. But now you can just have you can just buy crappy gems, right? You can just have a stash full of crappy gems. And in fact, I think they should probably put Lily. They should just straight up put Lily in the lab, and you can just buy the gems from her and toss them in right there. But as long as you're prepared a little bit, you can just buy, the gems that people care about at all, have a stash tab with them, and just do it with that, right? Like I would, just put Lily in the lab right next to it, right? And you can just buy the gem, toss it in. So I think, but on average, you can just toss a gem in. Hopefully you get a good one. There's also the ability to sacrifice a gem, get experience on your character. You can create a Faceter's Lens, stuff like that. So there's some cool stuff in there. Now, I think the high end for lab running most likely will change, where we're going to see fewer people that are just dedicating the entire league to running lab and, getting base. Like, you're not going to get bases for people or anything. But I could be wrong there. Like, it may be profitable enough to still run it. It may be easier, actually, for lab runners because they don't need to take the base, right? They can just level up. They can just, make the gems and list them in a tab, and they don't have to, take helmets from people and take a fee and all that. Just, make gems and sell them. So that might be better right there. We'll get to the skills after that. And let's see. So the second thing is, if we go to pathofexile.com, I actually think this is just going to be the YouTube video. So we're just going to go through everything here real quick. The top end thing right here, the actual league mechanic itself, it looks pretty fun. The really, really, really big thing that is, so the league mechanic is whatever. It's kind of like a synthesis. You go in, you kind of get these wisps. You go out, you get some item quantity, whatever. There's a couple new uniques, but what I want to focus on is the fact that there's these tinctures. Also, I don't want to go into them too much, but there's tinctures that do really cool stuff. They basically replace your flasks. Micro distillery, yeah, might be an angle there with micro distillery. But the big thing is there are 3 new ascendancies that go in addition to your current ascendancy. So you could become a Warden of the Magi, a Warlock of the Mists, or a Wildwood Primalist. So you can be a Guardian Warden of the Magi. So it's a double, or an Elementalist Warlock of the Mists. So they're really, really powerful and really, really interesting. So this one is based around getting those tinctures on your weapons, making the tinctures very powerful, increased effect of your tincture per empty flask slot. So this is a full, tincture only build or something. The big thing that they got here, this one's weird, can't be, you can see marked enemy stuff or whatever. One of the big things to look out for right here is Oath of the Magi. If you already liked how much socket pressure you had, well, we got more for you. While you're leveling, I think this is incredible, is you can get, if you have a pair of boots that has no socketed gems, boom, 30% increased movement speed. A helmet with no equipped gems, 50% all res, so you don't have to run period of elements while you're leveling, stuff like that. Pretty wild, quick little keystone. I think this, this with a 7 league step and all that is going to be the tech for speed running. Just like twink leveling your character is going to be pretty sick. So some really cool stuff here. There's this bark thing for, taking less damage and all that. Pretty cool little stuff. This one I think is like the simple one. This is for the simpletons. And I think this is what, most likely everyone's going to take this one on League Start if you want to just go fast. The Warlock one's really interesting. This is, I'm going to call it this the Captain Lance Ascendancy. It's all based around sacrificing your life. This is a straight up like blood magic, whatever, sanguinemancy, full blood magic type of thing, full Relic of the Pack, Wrathpith Globe, whatever. It's all about stacking your life and stacking your life cost and doing all that type of stuff. And removes all energy shield, but you gain life of the removed energy shield, etc. So that's the general idea behind this guy. The other really cool thing about him that I liked that was kind of cool is these Affliction curses that he has. And one of them looked really, really interesting. I think there's some mechanics here with the boss killing. Yeah, this creeping lobotomy. Haven't we all felt a little brain dead? When a curse has 60% of its duration expired, the cursed target will deal 0 damage. So if you're doing like a really big uber boss fight and you just want to tank a slam, for example, I think there would be some really high-end mechanics here where, for example, you want to trigger Uber Searing Exarch to do his incineration, his big explosion. But if you can curse him and if you can time it correctly, you could do a short curse where you say, okay, I know that this curse lasts 5 seconds. And so I know as long as 3 seconds have expired, then the explosion will deal no damage. So as soon as you can time it, you just figure out, okay, incineration, I start the curse, and then when it pops, I can sit there and it can do damage, and then he'll do no damage, and I can just tank through it. And I think there's some really, really cool bossing implications with this Pacify skill for people that are doing like middle DPS that want to DPS through things. There's a Foul Pact that makes enemies take increased damage, stuff like that. Pretty cool. Yeah, rotating curses might be a thing there. And then the one that I am the most excited about by far is the Primalist right here, which gives you, it's customizable. So it gets these 3 charm sockets that you can slot in charms. Think of them like Sanctified Relics. I think they're very, very close to Sanctified Relics. However, the modifiers that they have on them are baby versions of what you find on Ascendancies. And I assume that you can stack these, right? So you could probably stack 3 of these, so then you could have 3 times 16% chance to fortify. I mean, obviously the movement speed wouldn't matter, but this is a baby, fortify with a jug, movement speed can't be modified. This is the baby raider, movement speed per frenzy charge, etc. And this is a baby profane bloom with 14% chance. Like you could stack 3 of these, and now you have a full profane bloom on whatever class that you want. So you can stack these, and you get this customized ascendancy that basically everyone gets to be Scion. Like, it's so sick. So I think there's some really, really sick implications. However, it's not going to be too exciting until you get the ones that you want to slot in, right? Might of the Bear. So here's a huge one that's like pretty wild, actually. You get an additional 20 inventory slots, which is very comfortable. This one's really funny. Your war cries will shake extra items from corpses. So I think this one's like super, super silly and mid. But it's like, what is it? 2, 4, 6, 8. So you would not take this, right? If you ever took this ascendancy, you would just take all of these nodes. But this one, when you use a war cry, it'll open your chest. Like, this could be fun for, I don't know, running, any map with a lot of chests or something like that. But this one's like really silly. They said that map quantity does affect it, but other item quantity does not affect it. So for example, when you kill a boss, all you're going to get out of it. So the loot that you get from the corpses is just base loot. So even if you do it on a boss, you don't get a second chance of boss loot. You just get base loot. So this one's like really, really, really bad, but it's kind of funny. Really, really, really exciting. Like the implications of this are pretty huge. And then we got a couple uniques that they're showing off. Pragmatism here. This one's interesting, plus 12 to the level of socketed skill gem. However, minus 2 to level of socketed skill gems per socketed gem, period. So what that means is by default, you put in 1 gem and it's only plus 10 level. You have to remember, that's only plus 10 level if you put in one gem, which is cool. Then secondarily, you could put in Empower, and then it goes to what it would get, like plus 3, but minus 2. So it would only get plus 1 by putting in Empower. So you like, I don't know, would you even do that? Maybe if you want a plus 1 level. Like, so there's definitely some really balancing implications that you have to do here. Is like, how much do you care about each level? You know, do I put in 3 auras and then it's going to be 12 minus 6, each aura plus 6 level, but then I lose 3 sockets, right? Like there's some, it feels like, is it even that much of a leveling unique? It's level 49 required, right? Yo, Daikon, thank you. Yeah, maybe a Herald of Thunder angle. Is the plus 12 static? I assume it's static. Numbers like that are usually pretty static. This helmet is really weird. This is a leveling helmet for sure. When an enemy hit deals damage to you, their resistance to that element becomes 0, reflects some damage. I wouldn't even wear this, right? I would wear a gold rim anyway, and then base 100 reflect damage. Who cares? The Untouched Soul. This one is very interesting, but again, similar idea. It is an amulet that's telling you to not equip any sockets. Leveling amulet, right? But it requires level 48. Like if this required level 20, it'd be much more interesting. I'm sure there's angles. Like the accuracy, I think, is the biggest number here. That's interesting. 225 accuracy is a lot. I think there's an angle with mana. I think accuracy, no, nothing ever counts. Yeah, Relic Pact, life stacking, I guess. Most important, huge, awesome thing in the entire world right here, the return of Ultimatum. This is the GOAT. Ultimatum's coming back. It's slightly rebalanced, but same idea. There are nodes on the Atlas for it. The Transfigured Gems, I mentioned those earlier. They're just, we see a small portion of them. They're really, really cool. And supporter packs. This is really, really big. I think this is actually, in terms of like quote unquote meta shakeup, this is the biggest one that I might have ever seen. We spent a couple hours here talking about it, but these are just off the cuff ideas and all that. Animate Guardian, better. As some, I'm calling out things that I care about for my SRS Guardian. Animate Guardian is getting more life, really good. Arc is getting buffed in terms of specifically Ignite damage will be better. So Arc Ignite, do I think it's going to be like good? No, I don't think it's going to be S tier or anything, but I think it'll be like Arc Ignite's already okay and it's going to be better. Bane is still bad. It got the tiniest buff you could imagine. It was like really almost insulting. Blade Vortex, I think, is going to be more, we might see more Assassin Blade Vortex. It deals damage faster, but it loses a lot of crit. Body Swap got a nice damage buff. I think we're already seeing Chieftain Body Swap looking really good. I think it's looking even better now. Bone Shatter is now probably about the same. It's better now. You don't have to get Divergent Bone Shatter. It did get a buff for that. However, was Divergent Bone Shatter better? Maybe. We don't know. I didn't do the math. Burning Arrow might be a playable again with Ignite. It got more damage with ailments, so that might be better. Crackling Lance got a lot of damage. So it got like a more damage multiplier per intensity or something. So Crackling Lance already was very, very high damage. Might be insane. Cobra Lash got very good quality of life by like built-in chains. And I think it got more damage with ailments per chain as well. So you might even be able to do like something with ailments in Cobra Lash. Decoy and Rejuve Totem got a lot more life, which is a buff to like the Black Zenith Flamewood setup, I believe. So good for that. Detonate Dead got chance to hit additional corpse, which is better for fishing for, that big specter to get bigger ignites. That'll be a little bit more quality of life there. Divine Ire got a lot of buffs. I believe it's overall much more DPS. Elemental Weakness and Flammability both got 20% increased duration of ignites, of ailments. And you only care really about Ignite there. And so 40% Ignite duration, I think there's a lot of potential for, looking at Replica Ember Wakes and stuff like that for any Ignite build. Explosive Arrow got, I think, like +2. And remember, with all of these, this is based on quality. It's like the old enchants based on quality. So now you can put it in Dialas, Enhance, Run Ashes. So these numbers can actually go significantly higher. You can over double these numbers that I'm talking about. So remember all that. So like I could do Enhance with Ashes with Flammability and Elemental Weakness, 40, 60, 120% Ignite duration with my curses. That's okay. Now we're doing double Replica Emberwake, right? Insane stuff. Ashes Gutted? No. The most important stuff about Ashes is still there. It only lost the RMR. All of the level and the quality is still there. Let's see. Immortal Call got some CDR. We might see people doing left click Immortal Call more. That might be coming back. All the war cries get 40% CDR. So, everyone that wants to shake the corpses and get more loot can do that. Lightning Conduit got potentially 52% more damage. We calculated that on the maximum possible shock effect that you can get. And that's without more than 20% quality. So that could be over 100% more damage on Lightning Conduit. There might be a good angle on Lightning Conduit. Lightning Strike lost a proj, without higher quality, and it lost proj speed. I think overall Lightning Strike got moderately nerfed. Mana Bond, I forget what it got. I think it got damage. Bama, we got some Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow. Both of the minions on that got more damage. And so Bama, I think, we're going to see people playing around with that, and it'll be like really good damage on that. Penance Brand, they wrote a paragraph. I have no idea how it works. So they said they simplified it, but they wrote a paragraph about how they simplified it. People can play it and they'll figure it out. But Pestilence Strike got a lot of increased duration for the poison. So currently Pestilence Strike is really good for clear. It's got like the poison prolif, but it's kind of bad for single target. Whereas currently Viper Strike is all single target and you would do a gem swap. And now they added duration to Pestilence Strike. So, it might be more competitive for single target. Zombies got gutted and sent to England so Simon Pegg could shoot them in the face with a shotgun. However, there might be an angle with Siegebreaker because you can scale their life a lot more and get big like chaos dot puddles and stuff like that. But they lost their slam attack. They lost the cooldown recovery rate with the slam attack. You can summon more zombies, but regular zombies, yes, there are alternate quality zombies, but regular zombies did get nerfed. Yeah, if you just want to run with zombies, do like a Baron Zombies angle. At least regular quality zombies look like pretty significantly nerfed. Reap got a nice more damage multiplier per blood charge. It looked pretty buffed. Righteous Fire got pretty significantly reworked where it lost all of its base damage. And then instead of doing, 30%, 35% damage based on your max life is now 70%. High-end Righteous Fire, where you do, the Captain Lance 69 420 energy shield, got significantly buffed, like double the damage. Straight up double damage on that. To the point where you could probably just kill Ubers with the Righteous Fire alone, like on the very high end, easily. Like you already could, but like now easily you could just like watch the Ubers melt, like double damage. So Righteous Fire, Pox, and all the Righteous Fire folks are, low end Righteous Fires in a really weird place right now. We'll see. I'm sure people can figure it out. People always figure things out. It's going to be different, right? At the very least, it's going to be different. I have no horse in this race. I'm just reporting what Righteous Fire people have said to me. I had dozens of people coming in chat telling me that Pox was like very upset, etc. So that's all. I don't have a horse in this race. Siege Bliss got a lot of attack speed, might be something there. Steel Skins got I think Call of Steel is gone. They got really heavily reworked. They're heavily leaning towards pushing you to the Impale angle. So if you're not doing Impale with Steel skills right now, you're probably doing it wrong. Maybe people find things out. Volatile Dead, I told chat to remind me to play this because it got something like 40% increased movement speed. So Volatile Dead just might be like extra fun. So now Vortex is no longer an instant on left click skill. It now has a 0.75 cast time. And also for Vortex, Frostbolt, and Ice Nova, they removed all of the interactions between them. So you can no longer do like Vortex or Ice Nova on Frostbolt. So the old cast on crit Frostbolt, reset up is like super dead. I actually think they should kind of rethink that, if they want that to still exist. But the whole idea of this, right? Oh, D-Packet, thank you. Yeah, Lightning Strike is in a bad place, man. Probably still playable, but definitely nerfed. Calling Strike support got recover life on kill built in, so you just toss that into like Mana Forge or something. Really good, recover 2% of life on kill. Chieftain, they reworked the Hinakoras, his exploding node. So now the Hinakoras will work with totems as well. So I think there's a real cool angle with using totems and explode. You get that built-in big explosion right there. I believe I said this a little bit earlier, but you can no longer flip skill gems. So huge GCP shakeup. Ignite looks like a really huge winner with Replica Emberwake, increased duration on the curses, and a lot of skill gems got buffed quality to give it additional, ignite damage or ignite duration or anything like that. Frostblades got a lot of soft nerfs. In terms of uniques, I don't know if I wrote this down, but in terms of uniques, they nerfed both Calm Spirit, went from 100 life regen per second for one rage to 300. If you're going to use Calm Spirit now, you're probably no longer use Berserk on left click. You'll probably use Berserk intentionally when you care about it instead of always trying to have it up. because you're not going to be able to keep it up. Yeah, I mean, we need Viagra for our rage after this one. Heat Shiver went from 100% more damage to 30% more damage. So Heat Shiver took a really big nerf. And then I think Frostblaze lost some other things too. I think Frostblaze lost damage or prod speed. I thought Frostblade Trickster was already like playable, but kind of mid. And now it's definitely, significantly worse, to the point where like, low mid at the very best. I definitely wouldn't recommend it now. Unless people find, alternate ways to play it. Cold Dot losing the instant vortex, kind of rough. Wintertide brand did get like a 10% damage buff, but that's about it. So losing the instant vortex, I mean, how much are you going to want to play Cold Dot after that? Probably not. I think because of all the RMR nerfs, we're going to see even more people than before playing Eldritch Battery. Let's see, and we'll talk about SRS last. Frostblink Ignite got soft buffs through the curses. 40% increased Ignite duration means that I might even be looking at like Replica Emberwake, like I said before, on the Ignites right there, for a really big damage. There's so much stuff changed. Metamorph also got removed for the Ultimatum ad, and as part of that, they also reworked the heist rewards because of the alternate quality gems being gone. So they buffed all of the heist. There's only one blueprint type, and they buffed all of the heist rewards. So the Simplex Amulet is now 100%. It's only one prefix and 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes, but it's 100% increased effect of all of them. So you can just go like +1 all, so you get +2 all, just rolling one mod. And then the suffixes, you can get like all your res, right? You could get like 96% of fire res on your amulet suffix. Pretty sick. Accumulator wand got buffed. I think this is also notable too. Accumulator wand got buffed from 1 of all charges to 2 of all charges per 6 seconds, which I think is like just enough to like have pretty good uptime on your charges there, where it might actually be worth like just using this over, right, like 30% spell damage implicit versus having charge uptime. I think that's pretty sick. Ashes is going to be really, really good. I just don't know how big the price is going to change on that. Ashes lost 20% mana reservation efficiency, and I don't know how much that's really going to... I think the price is going to go up, and maybe a lot, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting seeing what happens with this. Definitely keep your eye on the Ashes market. Okay, and then the big thing for me here was SRS. This is going to be my league starter. It is fine. Like kind of soft buffed. It kind of got soft buffed early on. They reworked it. So currently SRS has a innate 38% more damage multiplier, the Raging Spirits. And the way that you scale it is by using all of these Ghastly Eye Jewels right here. These guys that have additional physical damage built into them. And then that physical damage gets scaled by 38% more, not to mention all of the hatred, anger, and wrath with the SRS Guardian. That all scales. That's like another 38% more damage multiplier, right? That is going away. However, they're taking that damage and they're baking that into the base damage of the gem, which means that at the lower end of scaling, it's about the same. It's like kind of no change. And actually, it's a buff for very low end scaling, because that's so much base damage. Something like hatred, for example, by having that base damage right there, the as more multiplier actually gives you more fizz as cold. So hatred, something like that, will actually be buffing the SRS more than it did previously, because there's more base damage. So it's like kind of a soft, in some circumstances is a buff, and then later on high end scaling, no matter what, it's a nerf, because you're just, you're losing that one multiplier. However, the new quality for Summon Raging Spirits is getting 30%. The old Helm enchant was 24%. It is now getting 30% chance to summon an additional Raging Spirit, which means currently, because it sucks, we are using Unleash, because it sucks trying to maintain 20 Raging Spirits at all time to get our full uptime. Now, with that 30% baked in Helm enchant, we might be able to get away with dropping Unleash and just putting in an additional damage multiplier, which is pretty sick. So we can actually just drop Unleash and put in another support gem. Remember, all of this gets better with Ashes. Everything gets better. You can just drop in Ashes. At the very high end, you can put Ashes in, and many, many builds are just going to be significantly better. SRS is looking great. I think it's a soft nerf, but generally about the same. Couple more things I missed. Yeah, Spark actually, I should have written this down. Spark lost 39% prod speed. Huge low end nerf. Yikers. And then Sanctum also lost. The Forbidden Tomes, they said, are much more rare. So you can't just sit there and spam them forever. Like the tomes might end up costing 50, 100, 200 chaos. Yeah, that's the summary of my thoughts on the past 7 hours of going through the announcement and all the patch notes and everything. It's been really fun, and I'm excited to start this in 1 week and 1 day. But I got a lot of work to do.